Aren't you glad that we didn't go through with getting them mansion tattoos?
Hello, this is the Journey Told podcast, and I'm your host, Sean Donati. I believe life is about the journey, not the destination. To find the journey in every step of the road, the highs and lows, the twists and turns, the ups and downs. It's in that. It's in those moments that makes life so beautiful. Our guest today has a journey of his own. Gene Noble is a songwriter and singer. Please help me welcome Gene to the show. Gene, thank you so much for being here.
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Tell me, what's it like for you being in New York and just kind of moving through the process of really COVID? We're now opening up. What's the world like for you in the midst of opening, if you will?
I'm excited.
Okay.
Long time to get back out and get on the road and be able to travel and do some things. So I'm really excited. And obviously I've been releasing a bunch of music. So it's a lot better for releasing music to be able to get out in front of people and connect, you know. So I'm excited to get out from behind the Zooms every day. And get out in the streets and get out in front of people and get on stage and perform.
Has it been a bit of a transition for you from, COVID life, under that confinement, and then now as things are opening up, what's that schedule look like for you? Is it a process of of bookings and so forth, or is it still a process of things just slow? Is it still a slow process of the rebuild?
Yeah, definitely. It's moving, and it is. Some days I think it's moving slow, and then other days I think it's moving too fast. So it just depends. But I'm definitely glad that we're able to start moving around a bit and go to concerts, and people are going to live events and stuff. So that's really promising. I'm hoping that everybody still stays safe and we get it together. But yeah.
Speaking of you and your live events, I know you began as a songwriter, which is just so amazing to me. And I know that you wrote songs for artists such as Chris Brown and Faith Evans. Tell me a little bit about that experience. What was that like for you writing for Chris Brown, if you will?
Well, with Chris, I had sung backgrounds for him for some years by the time that I wrote for him. So I toured with Chris Brown for about 5 years, everywhere. We went everywhere. And so it was almost the end of that point where I actually got a chance to write with him with Scott Storch. And I wrote this song, Shatter, with Stacey Bart. And it was cool because I know that, he knew me as a singer and he knew my voice and we had worked together in that aspect. But I kind of kept my writing and all my stuff pretty much separate. So it was cool that it kind of came through Scott Storch and, he loved the record and was like, oh, word, that's my boy. He wrote the record. So that was a cool experience, just kind of getting to, reestablish or reintroduce myself to people I already knew in a different capacity. And now I'm doing it one more time as a solo artist. So it's cool.
With Chris, was there a little nugget that you learned from him? He's such an amazing artist. I just, as I watch him, I think anything he puts out is a hit. What did you learn from him or being underneath him what was that experience like for you? And how did that prepare you for what's next in your career?
The thing I think I take away from it is that he's a very fearless performer and he's very confident and he trusts the talents that he puts around him. So, once he makes a decision that you are the person for whatever job, he pretty much leaves you to do that. He's not really on your head. I really don't ever remember having a bunch of rehearsals or anything. He just trusted that, it would be right. So, and it was. We always had a great time and a great chemistry on stage. So, but the biggest thing I learned was just to be confident and to trust the people that you trusted to do certain jobs, and you don't have to stay up under them and watch them all the time. And, if you get the right people, they're gonna go out there and kick ass.
I would love to know some of your mentors.
Shaggy is one. He's been amazing. He's probably been my biggest champion and supporter in the industry. Usher is amazing. He always offers great sound advice, and Sting, who I currently still tour with, I'm able to play my records for him and get his feedback on them and get his thoughts on things. So he's been a great help to me in my career. It's so many, but those would be three people, that I'm very, I get inspiration from, and they talk to me about my music and stuff.
you kind of take me into your world? What is it like for you? How do you mentally get prepared when you're writing for another artist? Is there a process that you have to experience or that you do when you're into that zone of writing?
Well, I think most times if it's an artist that I love, I try to think about what do I want to hear that artist say? Like, what haven't they said, or what would I want for their next song to be, or like be about, or what would I want to hear from them as a fan? If someone that I'm a bit less familiar with, I try to familiarize myself with their journey and with the things that they might be going through. So it may just be just having a conversation at the beginning of a session where we kind of talk through things and figure out what they really want to say and what's the message they want to convey. And sometimes it's just as simple as the track is telling me what to write. The track is giving me what it is, and that's what it is. And so sometimes it doesn't matter what the artist is. It just it's sonically what the song is calling for. So
To that point, have you ever sat down with an artist to prepare to write for them and your spirit said, like, have you ever felt like it wasn't right in alignment?
many times, and I think sometimes I've left sessions that I didn't feel like were going to be fruitful, because I could tell that the energy wasn't right, and I've definitely done that before. And sometimes I'm also pretty partial to just me and the engineer, or me by myself. I record myself a lot also, so sometimes I can get my ideas out in their purest form without them being like, tainted or watered down, or me having to like kind of sacrifice for the sake of the other person. At least I can complete my idea, get it all the way out, and then they can hear it from there and decide if they like it or not.
In those situations when the alignment is off, have you, especially, I'm assuming maybe if it was early on in your career, did you ever think, okay, do I not do this or should I do this? And then, what made you decide to move forward or to not move forward?
The thing is, it's always a gamble. It's always a gamble because a lot of times you're walking into the room with someone you've never met, a producer you've never met, an engineer you've never met, maybe an artist that you've never met, and they're expecting results, in that moment. So it's a pretty high bar, to meet every time that you're going to walk into a room with someone you've never known and create magic. So I find that I like to write with the same people over and over, or work with the same people over and over, because we have a chemistry and a bond already. Sometimes I've been lucky enough to sometimes walk into a situation and the first session we come up with some crazy magic. But there's other times where it's like, you walk in and it's not going to happen that day, and it just may be that day is the day that you guys just kick it and vibe and learn each other, and then it's the next session that's the good one. So I really I don't force myself or stress myself out about it. If it doesn't come immediately, I know that it will come organically.
What was the kicker that let you know it was time for you to set out on your own in your own solo career?
I think with any writer, once you get to a point where you have, because I think a lot of artists right now are writers, and I think you have these songs that are sitting around, and sometimes you're frustrated because they can't find a home, and they haven't gotten out into the universe, and that these songs need to get out into the universe. So that was the first thing, was me knowing that I had some material that I wanted the world to hear, and if somebody else wasn't going to do it, I could put it out myself. That was the first thing. But truthfully, I always was working on solo stuff. I was constantly always writing, and mostly with the intention for me to perform the songs. It just so happened that I fell into, background singing and writing and the other stuff, and that stuff came so quickly and easily. And I mean, it was kind of like I looked up and it was like, oh wow, I've been on the road for like a decade with everybody, but I still did want to always do my thing. So it was always in my head to do that.
Was there ever any fear to step out on your own?
Absolutely. It's so much more on you. It's so much more. Like, it's such a bigger task, than just, oh, where do I stand? I'll stand right there and I just sing what y'all told me to sing. All right, cool. With my shows, I'm very, very hands-on from every single aspect to like, I mean, I might be carrying my keyboard or carrying some drums or like whatever the case is. I'm very much more aware of the ticket count, how many people are coming, who I got to pay, what I got to deal with, all that kind of stuff. And then also, you know that the attention is solely on you as opposed to just being in the background where you know you can kind of like chill a bit. So you know that everything is on you and everyone's looking at you for guidance and direction. So it's a bit more stressful, but so much more gratifying. I mean, I prefer performing in like a little club with like 200 or 300 people that came to see me than I do in stadiums and arenas with other artists that I perform with. You know? So
So you like you prefer the intimacy of being able to connect with your environment, with your crowd, with your fan base.
yeah, I prefer the freedom. I prefer the
Yeah.
freedom, and I prefer that you're hearing my voice and my message and my thoughts, and I get to connect with people in that type of way. So I've always, even when I toured with people for years, I always planned shows or did shows in different places of my own, or I went to open mics or jam sessions and just got up there and played keys or sung or whatever I could do, and just try to like build like that. So that's been really, really successful for me. Just because I did it brick by brick, you know, one by one, room by room, and kind of started building my fan base that way.
That leads me to my next question. What advice can you give to someone who may be watching or listening into the show, may also want to be, may have some fear there. They may know that there's that they're talented and be afraid to step out as an artist. What kind of advice can you give them? Maybe 3 tips you can give to someone to just find the courage to leap, to step forward and step out in faith.
It's not easy. I will say that. It's definitely not easy. But what I would say is that you have to trust your gift and your talent and your ability and your voice and what you're bringing to music, and not try to like, be anything else. Be you, and people will come to you for you, and also, be honest with yourself. Be honest with sonically. Are you doing something different? Are you bringing something to the game that doesn't exist, or will it just fall into with everybody else? It's all those kinds of things. Are you so scared and shy that you don't want to be on stage? That's a thing to consider, because I've known a lot of artists that put out really great projects that they worked on at their house or somewhere really small and intimate, and then they do well and they're thrust on like a big stage and they don't know how to handle it because that was never the intent. They were just like, people who love music, but getting on stage and performing is something very different. So I think just knowing the scope of how you want your career to go and what you want your career to look like, that's important to know from starting out. And just to have a thick skin, know that there's going to be a bunch of no's, there's going to be a bunch of people who don't get it, there's going to be a bunch of people you love who don't understand your path and your journey, and they want you to do something that seems more standard or safe. And you really kind of have to be strong enough to throw that out of your head and keep moving forward.
It sounds easier said than done, but as you're moving through, that's the toughest part, because I feel like you automatically assume or think that your family and friends that's going to be your support system. And a lot of times as you begin to climb and you reach certain levels, you don't see that, and that's when I think that's when it's time to climb to a different circle.
Yeah, I mean, people put their fears on you. People who love you are afraid for you, and it's genuine, and it's deep concern, and you appreciate them for being concerned, but also you have to drown that out in order for you to do what you are doing. Like, you have to drown out all that fear, and you have to drown out anything that's extra.
Yes. So your EP reached top 20 on Apple, on iTunes, which is like amazing. As I see you dancing, that is like unbelievable. What did that feel like? Was that a pinch me moment for you to see, or did you expect? Was it just like, did you go into it expecting to get those type of results?
I mean, I hoped that it would connect and
yes,
that people would connect to it. That's what I hoped. And I hope people would like it enough, But someone had to actually text me and tell me that it was charting and then it was going up.
Yeah.
And, even with matching tattoos, like my manager was sending me like these screenshots from like Billboard, and I was like, Billboard, like, and then when we were like 16 and 17 and getting to towards top 10, I was like, this is crazy. And of course, it's always what I want it to be,
Yeah.
the answer. But honestly, music has always been my therapy, and it's always been so for me. But hopefully, you like it too. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I do music. I do music for me,
Mm.
to get it out for me. But my hope is that it connects to somebody, and that if I'm feeling that way, somebody can relate to it. But yeah, it's pretty surreal. It's pretty surreal because I firsthand know how many artists there are out there, how much music, how much great music is being made, and how narrow the lane is for those types of opportunities in those spots. So I'm always grateful for every single move, that's made. So yeah.
I feel like it's in those moments of being grateful that you're able to receive more.
Amen.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I know that your single, "Too Many Lost," that is trending everywhere, and I know that particular single centers around COVID. Can you dive into that song a bit for us and tell me why you thought it was important to really shine some light on COVID and police brutality during this time? I think it's brilliant.
Thank you. Too Many Lost was originally written, yeah, specifically about police brutality, and then as COVID started to take shape and become a thing in our lives, it really kind of related. A lot of the lyrics really related just to the fact that we all felt like we were being lied to. We didn't know what to believe, who to
Yeah.
trust. And then in the middle of COVID happening, now we've got the more police brutality kicking off, more civil unrest kicking off. So it just felt like, it was really interesting, the parallel between there being too many people lost to police brutality and too many people being lost to, really poor leadership. So both of those things were coming together, and that's really what Too Many Laws kind of became. It kind of took a life on its own last summer, which I was really grateful for.
How do you dive deep? Like, what do you do for yourself to dive deep mentally? Like, what is your day-to-day routine? Are you spiritual, or do you meditate? If I'm not being too personal, would love if you could kind of share that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do meditate. I do pray. I do believe in God. I do. I grew up in church. If you ever heard me sing, I grew up in church. But I'm a spiritual person. I'm also, I work out. I run. I get outside. I do. I like to get my heart rate up, and that helps me think and it helps me clear my head. Writing and music is, monumental. It's the thing that's made my life be okay from all the things that happened to me. Music has always been the safe haven. So I always come back to music, and I don't know. I'm kind of very like introspective just generally, so it's not hard for me to dive deep, and it's not hard for me to write from a certain place because I kind of tend to be there. Artists, creatives tend to be pretty sensitive, so we can kind of like stay in that place a lot.
What are you working on next?
Working on more music. Got a new project coming out. Got a whole nother project coming out with my band Flight Deck. I'm writing for a few new artists. I'm going away this summer. I'm excited because we haven't been able to go away for a while.
Yes.
So I'm
Yeah.
going still. So I'm super hype about that. And yeah, I'm just doing music. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of touring coming up. I have a bunch of shows that I will start to post. So, and I'm really hoping that something special comes through because we have the opportunity to tour. So, waiting.
Yes.
The answers are going to be for that. So, just sitting back and waiting. But it's going to be a really cool tour. It's one of the ones that I was really excited to be asked to be on. And so, in addition to that, some festivals and just keeping it moving, hopefully getting in as many, people's playlists as possible. That's really what my goal in life is, to just be in, the soundtrack to people's lives. That's really what I've always wanted. And so for me, it's special every time somebody sends me a video on Instagram of them like rocking to my music that they're hearing on their radio in the car. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I do it for. That's what I'm here for,
What was the first time that you realized, okay, I'm famous, I'm a celebrity? Or what was that moment like for you?
I had one really cool moment when I did the song "Only Love" with Shaggy and Pitbull. I was standing in the mall, and I'm from Long Island, and I was standing in the mall with my mom, and it was the first time we heard it. And I used to work in this mall in high school, and so it was really cool to be standing in this mall with my mom, who used to drop me off at work in this mall, and my song is blaring throughout the whole mall. That was a really cool moment.
Yes.
Like moments like that are like little stuff
Yes.
like that are the cool moments for me, you know?
Yeah, isn't it amazing with life that you think it's the big moments that count and it's really always the small ones because
Oh,
you know the grind that it took to get there. So it's those little moments that you're like, "Oh, okay. All
absolutely.
right, I get it. I get it. This is it."
Absolutely. Yeah, totally, totally. And for me, those are the ones for me for sure. They're like there's just the small little things that you dream about as a kid that, stick to you, and when they actually happen, it's like, wow. It was trippy just seeing my name on Billboard, on the R&B charts. Like that was tripped out, or having Billboard do a write-up about me. That was like crazy. It was crazy to be signing with Hidden Beach because I grew up listening to Jill Scott, and Jill Scott's, amazing. So I was very heavily influenced by neo soul and that whole era. So to be working now, I've toured with Jill Scott now. Like Jill's actually a friend now. Like it's just stuff like that is cool. Like I couldn't have dreamed of that.
Really, as your legends, it's people that you were looking up to now become your peers. They become your circle. So you're like,
Absolutely.
"Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's cool. It's kind of cool that like, they respect my talent as well, cool
Yes.
because I've looked up to them so long. Like, with like Usher and like CeeLo and people like that and Faith Evans. I mean, like I literally learned how to arrange harmonies and stuff like that, listening to Faith Evans and like Usher. So it's like when I started working with them, it was like I know all your songs already. I know all this stuff already. You just got to tell me which part you want me to sing, but I know the whole record, So it's cool. It was cool.
As you're mentioning all these different amazing artists that you work with, do you have a favorite or a couple like, or a favorite memory that you can share? I love to hear about memories, and I think the audience probably would too. Something that someone may have taught you, or just an experience that a funny something that may have happened that you'd like to share with the audience.
I one of the coolest things that's happened for me is certain artists kind of like pushing me forward and making me like do my thing.
Yeah.
Like I toured with K Michelle, and she literally put like the middle of her show, she gave me a moment to like just sing a song, and I got so much feedback from that. And now with Sting, I sing Shape of My Heart and Juice World. There was a collaboration of basically it was Sting's music, but Juice World, who's a younger artist, kind of came out and did like a remake of it. So Sting and I do this song together on stage, and it's kind of surreal because Shape of My Heart is again such a classic song, and just the fact that he pulls me forward and exposes me to that amount of people every night is insane. I mean, I still look over like I'm actually singing with Sting like every night, like, and that's crazy.
That shows where your passion is. That shows that you are still passionate about it. I feel when it gets to the point where it's like, whatever, that's when it's probably time to
I'm gonna
switch up
stop.
to something different. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's time to
absolutely,
switch it up. Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
awesome. That
Someone
means you're
said to
flowing in
me,
your flow.
Someone said to me that asked me like, do I still get nervous before I go on stage? I was like, absolutely. It's quick. It's not like a long
Yeah,
drawn out thing, but you definitely still get that feeling, those
yeah,
butterflies real quick. And I said, if I didn't get that, I wouldn't want to do this anymore because that feeling is just the feeling of I want to go out here and do good. I want to sound good. I
yes.
want to kick ass. I want to connect with people. I want people to feel where I'm coming from. So that is a feeling that I hope never leaves.
Is there someone that you have not worked with yet that you would like to work with in the
So
future?
many,
Okay, tell us then.
Jasmine Sullivan, Janae
Okay.
Echo, her,
Yes.
um, Lucky Day, Victoria Monet. There's so many artists I want to work with, but I could literally keep going forever. Brandy, um,
Okay.
Alex Isley. I could keep going. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you're on the path to making that, bringing that into fruition.
Oh yeah, it's
You're
coming.
speaking that, so it's
Yeah,
coming.
absolutely.
It's coming.
Some of them are in the works already.
I'm sure. I believe that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what's going to be announced on your Instagram next week. I want to wrap up with a segment that I call Tell and Tell, which is a play on the word show and tell. What is something that you can tell the audience about yourself that you have not shared with the world? A secret, if you will. It could be, I don't know, your morning routine, or if you vision board, or I don't know, a certain exercise you may do. I'm just kind of throwing it out there, whatever you may feel the best way to answer that question.
People who know me closely know that I cook, that I really, really am passionate about cooking. It's my favorite thing to do. So
Okay.
if you know me, you know that. But if you don't know me, you don't know that. But like, I'm pretty good, pretty good. Like if I wasn't a singer, I would be a chef.
Okay, wait, you can't just end right there. You got what's your favorite dish?
Okay.
I got to know that. Come on.
I really like cooking Caribbean food. I like cooking Italian food. I love cooking soul food. I made some soul food 2 nights ago. I made some collard greens and some candied yams, and I made some salmon and on the grill. But yeah, I love to cook. That's actually also very much therapeutic for me, and it's part of my love language. I love to cook for my friends. And actually, when I moved to LA, most people didn't know I sung. They just were like, "Oh, that's that dude that's always cooking."
Yeah.
But I would always have people over, and I was always cooking. And then, that's how I actually made a lot of friends in LA. People came by and got plates. But yeah, I love to cook. So that would be one thing that people don't know initially about me. That is, I guess, one of my secret little weapons.
Well, that's a good weapon to have, I think. I mean, I think food is, that's the key to anybody's heart. So
Yeah, and
keep going with that.
My mom was an amazing chef and baker and all that stuff, and singer. I mean, I get a lot of that from all of that stuff from her. Like, when you're young, you just gotta, you learn, you pick up stuff. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. I didn't know that. Now that I didn't read. I didn't know that about your mom.
yeah, my mom
That's
is
beautiful.
great singer. That's where I got my voice from.
Okay. Well, if someone is listening and they want to follow you on your journey, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Follow me at I am Gene Noble on all platforms, everywhere you can find me there. And much of the journey is in the music. So find the music, which is also on all platforms, Gene Noble.
Well, thank you, Gene. Thank you so much for being here. I enjoyed this conversation. You have a great vibe, and it was amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Well, that is it for this episode of the Journey Told podcast. I'm going to leave you with words that my father so often would say to me, and that's to be the best version of you that you can be. Until next time, folks, let that sizzle in your spirit.